The subconscious mind will translate into its physical equivalent, by the most direct and practical method available, any order which is given to it in a state of belief or faith. They told you wealth was a matter of luck, that fortune chooses its favorites, that some are born into it and others must chase it for a lifetime without rest. But they were wrong. Wealth is not random. It is not a birthright. It is not the product of wishful thinking or blind ambition. Wealth, true wealth, is commanded, and the command post is not the stock market. It is not your resume. It is not even your current bank account. The command post is within you, buried behind your conscious efforts, beneath your intentions and your plans, lives a force more powerful than logic, more stubborn than discipline, and more fertile than any investment strategy ever devised. That force is your subconscious mind. And until you learn how to speak to it, until you learn its language, its laws, its codes, you will forever be at the mercy of those who already have. Because make no mistake, every empire ever built, every dynasty forged, every fortune born from nothing, was first planted in the rich, dark soil of the subconscious. Carnegie knew this. So did Ford. So did Rockefeller, Disney, Jobs, and Hill himself. They understood something the masses never do, that the subconscious is the silent architect of your fate, that it does not respond to wishes, it obeys commands. And the tragedy is, most people command it without knowing. They command it to stay poor, to stay small, to expect failure, to fear wealth, to mistrust abundance. They feed it images of lack, words of limitation, and thoughts soaked in doubt. And so it builds, not by logic, but by blueprint. Not by desire, but by design. Your design, if you speak scarcity, it will multiply scarcity. If you whisper fear, it will echo it in your reality. If you believe you are unworthy, it will prove you right again and again and again. But here is the secret they never taught you in school, the lesson buried beneath mountains of noise and distraction. You are the commander. You are the voice it follows. You are the architect of the world you live in. Not tomorrow, not someday, but right now, this moment. The question is, have you been commanding greatness or survival? Have you been instructing wealth or rehearsing poverty in silence? Every thought you repeat is an order. Every feeling you indulge is a script. Every image you hold is a prophecy. And your subconscious, it does not argue. It does not judge. It does not ask questions. It simply builds. Do you understand what that means? It means you have been living inside the house you told your subconscious to build, even if you did it accidentally, even if your commands were inherited from parents, teachers, peers, the media, the world. But that ends now, because now you wake up, you remember who you are. You pick up the hammer of thought and the chisel of belief, and you begin to carve a new structure, one brick at a time, one image at a time, one command at a time. Not from fear, but from clarity. Clarity is the first key. Clarity is the blueprint. You cannot command what you have not yet defined. You cannot program wealth into your subconscious if your conscious mind still whispers confusion. What does wealth mean to you? Not the number, not the dollar sign, but the feeling, the purpose, the reason behind the reason. Because wealth without clarity becomes chaos. It becomes stress, guilt, emptiness in a golden cage. But wealth with clarity, that becomes power. Not power over others, but over yourself. Power to choose, to create, to give, to build. Power to become the fullest version of who you were designed to be. So define it. With your full chest, with your soul. Do not whisper your desires, roar them. Not for the world to hear, but for your subconscious to obey. Say it clearly. I command abundance. I command clarity. I command purpose, impact, prosperity. Say it until it no longer sounds foreign. Say it until it becomes your native tongue. Say it until every cell in your body believes. And then watch how reality bends. Because the subconscious is not mystical. It is mechanical, like soil. It does not care what you plant. It simply multiplies. You plant doubt, it multiplies delay. You plant discipline, it multiplies progress. You plant images of wealth, of service, of contribution, of legacy, and it multiplies opportunity that would have been invisible to the old you. The old you, that version that hesitated, that doubted, that waited, that version was speaking an old language, a language of limits, but you are learning a new one now. The language of the subconscious, image, emotion, repetition, belief. That's the alphabet of wealth. Image, what you see in your mind daily. Emotion, what you feel when you visualize it. Repetition, how often you reinforce it. Belief, the strength with which you hold it, even when nothing has shown up yet. That is how you command, not with shallow affirmations, not with forced positivity, but with alignment, mind, emotion, word, and behavior. Aligned like an army marching in unison toward one target. And your subconscious, that obedient giant beneath the surface, will rise, and it will obey. This is the hidden wealth system, not in a bank, not in a book, but in you, in your thoughts, in your emotions, in the images you dare to plant again and again until the soil gives way and sprouts something real. Now listen closely, because once you've spoken the command, once you've cast the vision and infused it with emotion, there is still one thing more powerful than vision alone: belief. Not the kind you mumble when no one's watching. Not the fragile kind that shatters when life doesn't go your way. I'm talking about unshakable belief, the kind that stands alone in the dark and still says, I will not be moved. You must believe in what you've planted, even before you see the harvest, even when there's no evidence, even when the world mocks you, doubts you, ignores you, because the subconscious does not wait for proof. It waits for conviction. Do you think Edison waited for proof before he chased the light bulb? Do you think Henry Ford asked permission from society to reinvent the automobile? Do you think Andrew Carnegie questioned his right to build steel empires? They were not waiting. They were not hoping. They were commanding with belief that bordered on obsession. And here's what no one told you. Your subconscious cannot hold two opposing beliefs. You cannot say, I am wealthy, and feel unworthy at the same time. You cannot claim abundance and nurture fear in the background. It will listen, but it will only obey the stronger voice. So which one have you been feeding? Because every day you hesitate, every time you say maybe or someday, you hand the microphone to fear. But every time you act from belief, every time you speak wealth, walk in wealth, think in wealth, you hand the microphone to power. That's how it works. Not overnight, but over time, over pressure, over consistent repetition of the right command. Now let's talk about discipline, because belief without discipline is a dream without legs. It floats, it drifts, but it never builds. Discipline is how you speak to the subconscious in action. It is how you say, I mean it. Every morning you rise early to feed your mind instead of your excuses. That's a command. Every time you invest in your learning instead of your entertainment, that's a command. Every time you finish what you start, push through resistance, refuse distraction, protect your vision. You are hammering new instructions into the walls of your inner world. And the subconscious? It doesn't speak English. It speaks patterns, habits, repetition, emotion. You can't just tell it, you must train it. Train it with the rhythm of your days. Train it with what you tolerate. Train it with what you pursue relentlessly, regardless of mood. Discipline is the sculptor. The blueprint is belief. The command is clarity. But discipline is the hands. It chisels. It shapes. It endures. Ask yourself, how would a wealthy version of me behave right now? How would they walk, think, respond, prioritize? Now act like that, not tomorrow. Now, because your subconscious sees everything, it listens not only to your words, but your walk. And when your walk matches your words, when your behavior matches your blueprint, that's when the subconscious finally nods and says, ah, this is real. Let's build. Understand this. The subconscious is always watching, always recording, always shaping. It is the soil. You are the sower. And what you sow, you will surely reap. Not immediately, but inevitably. But most people don't wait long enough. They dig up the seed too early. They plant 1 week of discipline and expect 10 years of results. They doubt. They compare. They retreat. And then they blame the soil. But the problem was never the soil. The problem was the sower. So let this be the year you stop digging up the seed. You stop asking if it's working. You decide it's working, and you keep sowing day by day with faith that grows stronger than your fear, with actions that outlast your doubts, with vision that becomes clearer every time you speak it aloud, write it down, or live like it's already here. Because wealth doesn't show up for the confused. It shows up for the committed. It does not knock on every door. It walks straight into the house that expected it, the house you built in your mind first. Look at history. Look at every name engraved in gold. They all had one thing in common. They built wealth twice. First in the mind, then in the world. And your world, the one you're standing in right now, is nothing but a mirror of what you commanded until now. But if you don't like the reflection, don't curse the mirror. Change the commands. Change the inner blueprint. Change what you tolerate. Change what you believe is possible. And your outer world will have no choice but to catch up. Let me tell you something few will ever dare to admit. You are already wealthy. You just haven't withdrawn the riches yet. Because the wealth exists in potential, not just in possession. The wealth is there in your ability to focus when others distract, in your ability to persist when others quit, in your hunger to learn, to grow, to evolve, in the gold mine of your mind, waiting for orders. But it won't come to the lazy. It won't come to the entitled. It won't come to the faint-hearted or the occasionally inspired. It comes to the intentional, to those who train the subconscious like a soldier trains a battalion, to those who write their goals in ink, not in sand, to those who guard their inner world like a fortress, because they know the world only gives to those who first believed. Now that you understand the command must be clear, that belief must be forged like steel, that discipline must be lived, not discussed, there is another code to unlock, one that amplifies the command, that supercharges the blueprint, that breathes life into the bones of your vision. Vision itself, not a daydream, not a wish, not a vague hope about being rich someday. A vision, alive, real, emotionally charged, specific. Vision is the seed from which every fortune is born. It is the outline your subconscious uses to build your reality. If you do not create the vision, it will use someone else's. And that is how most people stay poor. They inherit visions that don't belong to them. Visions of survival, not prosperity. Visions of mediocrity, not mastery. Visions of security, not greatness. You must decide what the picture looks like. Not just the money, but the mission. Not just the number, but the meaning. See it in your mind so clearly that you can feel the carpet under your feet, smell the air in that future room, hear the sound of the door opening to your new life. Feel the gratitude in your chest before it even arrives. Because your subconscious doesn't wait for reality. It builds reality based on rehearsed experience. This is the difference between the wanderers and the warriors. The wanderers wait to believe. The warriors believe to create. Think of Walt Disney, a man who stood in empty swamps and saw castles. A man who believed in magic before there was even cement. Why? Because he didn't wait for others to validate the vision. He had trained his subconscious to live in it. And the world followed. So let me ask you now, and answer this with fire in your soul. What is your vision of wealth? What will you build with it? Who will you become through it? What legacy will you leave behind? Because without a vision, you are rich for nothing. But with vision, even poverty becomes a training ground. And here's the truth that transcends all tactics, all hacks, all business models and money-making schemes. It is not just about having more. It is about becoming more. Wealth is not simply a number. It is a reflection. It is who you become in the process of commanding your inner world. The person who learns to overcome fear, to choose growth over comfort, to move forward without guarantees, that person is wealthy long before the money arrives. The numbers are just a receipt for the inner work you've already done. And now you must activate the final force, the hidden fuel, the ancient secret known to the mystics and the billionaires alike. Gratitude. You may think gratitude is soft, that it has no place in the battlefield of success. But you would be wrong. Gratitude is not passive. It is not weak. It is the accelerant. It is how you tell your subconscious, this is real, I am already there. Gratitude is the emotional signature of already receiving. It is how you collapse the gap between today and tomorrow. Because when you feel grateful for what has not yet arrived, you pull it toward you with the force of 1,000 intentions. Think of it this way. Worry is rehearsing failure. Gratitude is rehearsing victory. And the subconscious? It cannot tell the difference between imagination and reality. It only knows emotion. So when you wake up every day and say, thank you for the opportunities coming to me. Thank you for the wealth flowing into my life. Thank you for the strength, the clarity, the favor. You are reprogramming your reality at the deepest level possible. Because when gratitude is present, fear has no room to live. And a fearless mind is the most powerful currency in the world. Gratitude makes your vision magnetic. It tells the subconscious, not only is this possible, it is mine, it is done. But you must not wait. You must not wait for results to feel grateful. You must feel grateful to produce the results. This is how every miracle is born. Not from waiting, but from alignment. When your thoughts say, I believe. When your words say, I expect. When your habits say, I am ready. And your emotions say, I am thankful. Your subconscious becomes a weapon, a force of divine creation, a servant to your highest destiny. Do not say someday. Do not say maybe. Do not say I'll try. Say I command. Say it is mine. Say I will build this life from the inside out. Say I have dominion over my thoughts, my feelings, my future. This is not arrogance. This is spiritual responsibility. You were not born to crawl through life with a pocket full of wishes. You were born to rise, to stand, to speak, to declare and create. Your subconscious is listening. It has always been listening. And now it waits for your next command. Now that you've spoken the command, Now that you've ignited belief, forged discipline, carved vision, and drenched it all in the fire of gratitude, there is one final battlefield to conquer, one last fortress that must fall. If wealth is to rise from the depths of your subconscious into the heights of your life, adaptability, because life will not hand you success in straight lines. It will not obey your calendar. It will not roll out red carpets just because your vision is bold. Life will test the strength of your command. It will throw storms to see if you meant it. It will delay, deny, and disrupt, not to break you, but to refine you. The subconscious listens to how you respond when the plan falls apart, when the market crashes, when the deal fails, when the timing feels wrong, and it asks one question: is the vision still alive? Because if you abandon it in the face of resistance, you didn't believe it. If you panic, retract, collapse, you were only rehearsing success. You weren't becoming it. But if you bend without breaking, if you shift, pivot, reframe, while keeping the vision clear, the command alive, the gratitude intact, then you show your subconscious something powerful, that you are the kind of person who cannot be stopped. Think of Abraham Lincoln, failed in business, defeated in elections, ridiculed, broken, buried in grief, but he adapted. He kept going because the vision of what he was building was greater than the pain it cost. So I ask you now, can you remain loyal to the vision in a season of chaos? Can you stay calm while the world screams panic? Can you move forward when nothing looks like it's working? Because you know it's working on a level most can't yet see. That's wealth, not the dollar, but the fire inside that says, I refuse to be denied. And in those quiet moments, when no one is watching, when the victories haven't come yet, when the doubt creeps in like fog on a mountain morning, there's one more code that must be guarded with everything you have: self-talk. Because the subconscious doesn't just hear your affirmations, it hears your whispers. It hears your doubts. It hears every joke you make about not being good enough. Every time you say, I can't. Every time you say, I'm broke. Every time you casually laugh and say, I guess I'm just not one of those lucky people. Your subconscious doesn't know sarcasm. It doesn't get humor. It only knows command. So stop cursing your future with careless language. Start talking like a person who expects wealth, who respects wealth, who commands it not just with goals, but with language that matches the life you are building. You are not average. You are not random. You are not some accident of birth and biology. You are the author, the director, the voice of power in your own subconscious court. What you speak, you summon. What you believe, you build. What you command, you create. And now there is no turning back. From this moment on, you no longer beg for wealth. You no longer chase it with desperation. You no longer watch others build while you sit silent and small. Now you build. Now you speak. Now you command. Command your thoughts. Command your focus. Command your behavior, your vision, your feelings, your time. Command your subconscious like the captain of a ship, crossing oceans in the dark, guided not by what is seen, but by the stars of certainty you've planted deep within. You do not need more motivation. You do not need more approval. You do not need anyone else to say it's possible. Because the truth has already been written into your DNA, into your imagination, into the fire that still burns in your chest when everything else fades. You were born for more, and you're no longer afraid to claim it. Wealth is not a reward. It is a response to inner mastery, a response to inner clarity, a response to inner command. You have the blueprint. You have the voice. You have the power. Now rise. Build the empire. Write the legacy. Speak the future into existence. Because the one who commands their subconscious commands everything. Thank you.